computer. Caroline Chang, welcome to Nature of Reality Radio. I have seen several videos of you on YouTube. I believe Awakening Our Truth channel, or Awakening the Truth channel, whatever that channel is that I'm thinking off the top of my head, has uploaded a few videos with you as the speaker. And I've listened to a couple of your shows back in the day here and there. But some of the things you've said definitely made me want to get you on as a guest on this show, because you seem very knowledgeable regarding spiritual and metaphysical stuff. And we're going to get into a lot of that, even though a lot of people at the present day, at this very moment, are kind of really concerned about current events with what's going on and everything. I think, well, even though we may actually find ourselves talking a little bit about that in this show, this is for the most part going to be a general spiritual talk, and taking a break from all the chaos and everything that's going on in the world at the moment. So that being said, quick disclaimer to my listeners, not really happy about the fact that nobody seems interested in subscribing to the Patreon account. Look, I know that you guys, if you wait 2 to 3 weeks after I do the show, you're going to be able to listen to it for free on YouTube. But I mean, don't you kind of want to get the info out? And what harm can it do to hurt a person like me who's finally decided to take the advice of people like Andrew Bartzis that we need to be willing to monetize our shows and all that? So, well, folks, I hope you can find it in your hearts to subscribe to Patreon. I will again post the links to the shows on my Nature of Reality Radio Facebook page, my Fan of 2012 Twitter account, and well, maybe a couple of other places out there. I'm sure a lot of people get into a huff if you just post solicitations for people to subscribe to Patreon, your channel, on some other group page without asking them first if it was okay with them. But everybody's struggling in this day and age, so what's a guy got to do to make a little money? So with that being said, listeners, after the video is uploaded to YouTube, which it will be 2 to 3 weeks after I do the interviews, or early access will be for Patreon subscribers. But when it is uploaded to YouTube, it will also be uploaded to Cos.tv, which is a blockchain channel. So I prefer people listen on Cos.tv instead of YouTube. Only listen on YouTube for 15 seconds to give me a view credit. And then after the 15 seconds are up, click on the link in the YouTube video description to the Cos.tv link of the same video, where you can watch it there. The more people that watch on Cos.tv, the more cryptocurrency I can make through the blockchain from people listening to that. There's going to be a little delay, of course, from uploading Cos.tv after YouTube. It takes a couple hours. So if the link to the Cos.tv thing is not there, just listen on YouTube. But if it is there, please listen to Cos.tv instead of YouTube. And again, come on, people. What harm can it do to pay me a little money to subscribe on Patreon so you can listen to this stuff early and when the important information comes out? Because I try to focus on current events a lot, and 2 to 3 weeks after we discuss current events may make it kind of old and all. So that won't probably be an issue with this interview. And like I do with most of my guests, Carolyn, I'd like to give you the chance to give you the chance to give your life story, what you experienced that causes you to do the stuff that you do, not just the radio host that you are, but any other spiritual stuff that you've experienced that causes you to research and talk about the things that you do. So I don't have Alex Jones-itis. I don't interrupt my guests. I will put myself on mute and shut up and give you the chance to tell your life story from a primary source perspective. And then after that, we will get into all the questions from a spiritual nature. So you've got the floor.
Well, thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much for inviting me. I will, wherever I'm invited, I will come speak. Just want a disclaimer of my own that most people say Carolyn, but my name is Caroline. Sweet Caroline, ... There's a story, and I'll tell you a little bit about how I was named. But I was listening to you found me on Awakening Our Truth, and I'm actually an admin on that channel. I was asked to be an admin on that channel about a year ago. It was December of 2019, where Jamie, who it's his channel, I've known Jamie a long time, and Jamie reached out to me a year ago and asked me to be an admin. For the past year, everything I do, I upload to that channel as well as my own. So that's how you found me. Thank you. Listening to, I just have to, if you don't mind, comment on all of the things you said in your intro. For me, everything is spiritual. And what is going on in the world today is definitely spiritual. It is, so I'd love to talk about current events, because everything is happening that is happening all the time has to do, it's a spiritual, what we call physical is not physical. It is also spiritual. So, and on my show, I connect science with spirituality, because science and spirituality are saying the same thing. And it was science that gave me my awakening in 2007, was from science, which had me understand everything I'd been studying for years, metaphysics and spirituality and all that for 30 years or more. And it was science that gave me the missing piece and made everything crystal clear. And it came from science. So so basically, I'm glad you found me. Thank you for finding me on Awakening Our Truth. I love being able to share on both channels, my channel and Awakening Our Truth. Basically, my awakening, like I said, was in 2007, but I have to say I've been searching my entire life, and then the answer came to me in 2007 for me. And I say me because every one of us will awaken differently, uniquely. We resonate differently, but even though we are all one, which my show Awake to Oneness Radio is all about, the truth of universal oneness, the truth of unity. And so as a young child, I searched, and I say that as a young child because what I was being taught, I was sent to Catholic school for 6 years, from kindergarten to 5th grade. And what the religion, the dogma of religion never resonated with me. And I couldn't say anything. I was brought up, I was born in 62. Yesterday was my birthday, January 12th. It was my birthday. I turned 59 yesterday. But I was born in 62. So in the I was going to school in the mid 60s. And my father was very strict. My father said, children are to be seen and not heard. So as a young child, the things that did not resonate with me, I could not say, well, that doesn't sound right to me, because I'd probably be picking myself off the floor. It was back in those days where corporal punishment, there were corporal punishment in school and at home, but I was a good kid. I never really had to get, because I kept my mouth shut anyway. But and I said about my name, I was born in 62. My father named me. And he said, if it's good enough for the president's daughter, it's good enough for mine. So I was named after Caroline Kennedy, who was 2 years old at the time and in the White House. So, and then in the song, Sweet Caroline was actually written for Caroline Kennedy. So that's actually my song too. I love the song, Sweet Caroline. But I said to myself as a child, when I get older, I am going to search for truth, because what I'm being told by society, by church, by everybody around me is not resonating with me. And so I say from a very young age, I always searched for truth. And for me, there was a missing piece. I studied metaphysics, I studied spirituality, all of that was sounded, oh, this is great. I love this. I love this. I love this stuff. But I knew in my heart there was a missing piece, that there was one missing piece to bring everything, to make everything crystal clear to me. And I watched a documentary by the name of What the Bleep in 2007. And What the Bleep was all about quantum physics. And I had never really heard of quantum physics. But there was one sentence that was said by Lynn McTaggart. She said, the biggest problem in the world today is the illusion of separation. And when she said that, something woke up inside of me. It was not an intellectual knowing. It was a heart and soul knowing that that simple statement that she made was true. Every problem that humanity experiences is because we think we are separate. We think we're separate from each other as people. We think we're separate from the earth, from the animals, from plants, from minerals. We think we're separate. So because we think we're separate, we think we can hurt another person, or we can bomb another country because they're separate. They're, we can bomb those people. It's not hurting us. When in truth, everything is connected. What science has proven is that everything is energy vibrating at a certain frequency. But everything is the same energy vibrating at different frequency. Everything is interconnected and interdependent. There is no separation, none at all. So what you do to another person, you are literally doing to another aspect of yourself. And when mankind awakens to the universal truth of oneness, which I believe mankind is heading in that direction, as mankind awakens, as humanity raises its consciousness to the knowing that we are all one, there will be peace on earth. There will be no more hunger. There will be no more poverty. There will be no more illness. There will be no more crime. We will be living heaven on earth when humanity awakens to that truth. And we are heading in that direction. I am on cloud 9. I have been on cloud 9 since March 2020 because I have a strong connection to what I call my higher self. The larger part of me is still in spirit of all of us. We are sovereign, divine beings of light. And I've always had that connection to higher self. That was the same connection like when I was a child and I would hear something that didn't resonate as true. That was my inner being. That was my higher self. But my higher self told me in March 2020 that humanity's great awakening has begun. And I've been on top of the world ever since. And I have been sharing the good news that we are the masses are people are waking up every day because of this craziness that we see happening in this 3D matrix. But it's all for a purpose. We need it. Something had to happen to wake us up. Humanity has been in a slumber for eons, asleep to who we truly are. And something had to happen to wake us up. And it has happened. And humanity is waking up. And I am on top of the world. And I love to talk about current events because I see clearly. And I'm seeing from a higher perspective. I'm seeing what I call the old 3D matrix is crumbling before our eyes. And I am rejoicing. I'm watching it crumble from a higher perspective, knowing that the old matrix has to crumble for us to build a new earth. We can't build a new earth together as a new humanity, as awakened humanity with the old. The old has to crumble and go, and we're witnessing it. We are witnessing every aspect that was built every system that was built in the old 3D matrix is crumbling, and it must. And instead of boo-hooing about it, everybody on the planet should be rejoicing right now. So ask me some questions.
Sure. Yeah, you were the one, I believe, who gave that presentation. December 21st, 2020, the solstice, the great, what is this? The Great Conjunction.
Yes.
Yes. Well, you pointed out that that's the age of Aquarius, although I first among several questions is just because Jupiter and Saturn lined up in Aquarius the way they did, that automatically means it's the age of Aquarius. I don't know about that. There's several different time points where people assert is the age of Aquarius. Interesting how you choose that one. And it seemed like everybody was talking about how this past winter solstice was one that would make the Mayan calendar end a winter solstice in 2012 look like child's play. It seems so much more significant. People were talking about it as, and it seems like this is like the one that pushed us into 5D or something. As
right, right.
Okay, well, there's still a lot of people asleep, so how can you assert that? And how does one make sense of us going into 5D when you see that there are still folks out there who are still asleep in spite of everything? And I'm asking a lot of questions, so let's just stick with that.
That's a great question. That's a great question, and I love that. Okay, from my viewpoint, which all I can share is my viewpoint. From my viewpoint, each one of us is a sovereign divine being of light. Each one of us is creating our reality individually and collectively, because there's no separation. And the best analogy I can use for that is the cells of your body. Each person has trillions and trillions and trillions of cells in your body. But if someone knew how to clone, someone could take a tiny microscopic cell from your body and clone an identical you, because all of you is in that cell. So each of us, but each of our cells do different things. Like we have liver cells and we have heart cells. And so I say all of that. That's kind of a long way to explain that each one of us is viewing this crazy matrix that we're in from a different viewpoint, so from my viewpoint, what I understand is that an age is approximately 2,600 years, and to move into an age takes approximately 50 years. So the song Aquarius, that was made a hit in the late 60s by the group called The Fifth Dimension, and there are no coincidences. So the group is The Fifth Dimension, and they're singing about the age of Aquarius at the end of the 60s. Now, so people was like, wait a second, they were talking about the age of Aquarius back in and I'm like, yes, because if you look at the end of the 60s to now, it's approximately 50 years. That, to me, that span from the late 60s to now was the transition period from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. Now, for me, I believe that December 21st, 2020, that just passed, was the end of that transition period, where we're actually squarely now in the age of Aquarius. And so that's how I view that. And but everything happens in this 3D matrix very slowly. So people do expect, and also it's an inner journey to the fifth dimension. See, a lot of people are like, okay, I hear all this stuff since 2012. Okay, when's it going to happen? If that's your attitude, it's never going to happen. If you're waiting for something outside of yourself to happen, it's never going to happen, because there is no outside. There is only you. Everything that we live in a dream of our own creation, individually and collectively. And it's like saying to the mirror, looking at an image of yourself in a mirror, and demanding that that image smile. You're crying, but you're looking at a reflection of yourself in the mirror, and you're saying, telling that reflection, you better smile, you better laugh, you better be happy. That's exactly what people are doing when they're saying something in this 3D matrix illusion, this play, this movie of our own creation has to change before I smile. Like I said, I am in the fifth dimension now. I am in heaven now. I am living heaven on earth and have been since since March 2020. Since my higher self told me it's on. Humanity's awakening has begun. Since that day, I can tell you the exact date for me was March 21st, 2020. Since that day, I've been living heaven on earth. I've been in the fifth dimension because I create my reality and I create my experience from inside out. So what people are saying is the outer has to change before I change. Never going to happen. Because your outer reality is created by your core vibration from inward. So does that answer your question?
Yes, that does raise a few questions too.
Okay.
First of all, I seem to recall in that presentation you said something like 2020 was my best year ever, and there's a lot of people in this world who would hear you say that and say, can I buy pot off you? Because you must be smoking a lot of it in order to think 2020 was a good year. So
I love that you said that, because even as a child, my vibration has always been of love, joy, even as a child, even before I knew to be that way. Because as a child, when I was a child, there was a song that came out, Natural High. Take me away on a natural high. That was one of my favorite songs. And people used to tell me, you don't ever do drugs. Don't ever, because you are naturally high. And it's true. I've always been that way. But since March 21st, 2020, I've been high on steroids naturally. It's a natural high. Yes. And yes, I can't sell it to you. All I can do is inspire you to come. All I can do is invite you to come up to where I'm at. I'm not going to lower my frequency and go down to where you're at. I love you. I'll send you light, love, and healing. But I'm inviting the 7 billion people on this planet to come up to where I'm at. And everybody is welcome up here. Yes, 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 yes. It's truly an inner journey to get there. It's nothing external. There's because people will call me and I'll answer the phone and they're like, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm on top of the world. And they're like, well, what happened? Like something external, something outside of me had to happen for me to be this happy. No, it's true. Happiness is an internal state of being. Joy, peace. Once I understood the truth of universal oneness, about oneness, I got it. The peace that surpasses all, and I add a word. I found the peace that surpasses all human understanding. Because it's not something you get from your limited 5 senses. And this science has taught us how limited our senses are. There's so much happening around us that we can't sense with our human senses. Basically, science says 0.035% is what a human being can actually detect with our 5 senses. So that's like 99.99999% of stuff we cannot detect. Now, we can't detect it with our human senses, but we have a physical body, just like I have a car. I'm not my car. I'm much more. I have a car to get around, and to get around in this crazy 3D matrix, you need a physical vehicle. Okay, so your physical body is your vehicle, but I'm not my body, and I connect with higher infinite wisdom through my heart and my soul, not my mind, because the mind usually just looks at everything from the limited five senses. And people have said, if I can't see it, I don't believe it. So I'm like, okay, that means you're not believing 99.999% of what is actually happening, what is actually around you. So it's, yeah, I love it when you said that about let me smoke some of that good pot. And I've never smoked pot. When I was a kid, my girlfriend used to always have we were in the garage, and I was about 15 years old, and she's like, try this, and then I puffed on. I sucked in the, I guess, smoke and blew it right out of my mouth. I didn't inhale. I'm like Bill Clinton. I didn't inhale. I didn't know how to inhale. So she grabbed it from me. She's like, stop wasting my good stuff. Give me that back. So that's the only time I've ever tried pot. But I was in Boston, and it was legal. I was in Boston for a convention last year before the COVID started. Or was it the year before? The times go by so quickly. But I was in Boston for a convention, and somebody had gummies. And I said, let me try them. And so I had two. I said, give me another one, because I didn't feel anything after the first one. The second one, I started feeling a little good. So, but it's all natural. It is completely natural, and I invite everyone to go on this natural high with me.
Yes, I do also say that if you want to go on a spiritual quest, you need to discipline and learn how to get high on sobriety, even though the psychoactives can be a nice tool to enhance spiritual things every so often. Getting high on sobriety is the proper way to do it. And of course, if you people aren't remembering your dreams very well at night, maybe you're smoking a little too much Mary Jane. That stuff does seem to take away the ability to remember dreams at night. So if I can give one negative effect of cannabis, well, there's one inability to remember dreams, and dreams do play a very significant role in our lives. We may get to that a little bit later in the show, but I do want to ask you about your assertion that the world, the outer world that you perceive, is a reflection of your inner self. And some might ask, well, to what extent is that the case? Because you can't, as one single individual, change the world. It's not like you winning $1 million in the lottery. Now that's a good thing. A lot of people win the lottery have a bad problems with it, but you becoming $1 million overnight is not going to solve global poverty on a global scale like that. Or you having an epiphany is not going to change the world. It changes you, and what comes into your world. But on a global scale, it's not. One person can't change the world. It's if the whole world was a Mandelbrot set, a human being the size of that Mandelbrot set relative to the whole Mandelbrot set would be I don't know, maybe the size of if Mandelbrot set were the size of Earth, ant may be how big the Mandelbrot set piece for a human would be, if you get what I'm trying to say. But
I do get exactly what you're trying to say, and I respectfully 100%, 1,000% disagree, because it's holographic. I use the example of a microscopic cell from your body, which has all of you in it. My favorite quote is Rumi's quote: "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." Each one of us is all of God in a drop, not a piece of God. And each one of us, as each one of us raises our frequency, it not only affects the entire planet, and it affects the entire universe. That is how powerful you are, each one.
Well, okay, yes, right.
Okay.
But my point is that the change that you make would be, it does affect everything, because we're all because everybody knows I was using the Mandelbrot set because one of the best implications of that, which is, I think, is one of the best mathematical representations of consciousness, spiritual reality, the Mandelbrot set, is no matter how small the smaller Mandelbrot set is, you do change the entire Mandelbrot set as a result of changing one of those tiny ones. It goes into infinity, so it keeps getting smaller and smaller. But no matter how small it is, you change it one little bit, it'll change the whole thing. So I like my often on this show. Does blinking your eyes affect the winds on the planet Neptune? Well, yes, it does, because your eyes are infinite consciousness. Your eyebrows are, just like everything is. So although the change in the winds is so insignificantly small that for our mathematical purposes, it's essentially but not equal to zero. So
okay, I'm not familiar with that set that you were talking of, but what you describe is exactly correct. And so each one of us, it's a frequency thing. It's vibration. So when a person raises their vibration, when they laugh, they're affecting the entire universe. When they cry, they're affecting the entire universe. So you answered your question. Yes, each one of us affects the universe by the smallest thing. And the most important thing is our frequency, is our core vibration. And yes, we create our reality from our core vibration. It's multidimensional, but we also planned. We are the creator of our reality, of our life experience. Nothing happens to us. It happens through us. Our higher self that knows all, that our higher self that knows exactly why we came into this life experience. We all came here for a reason, for a purpose. We wanted to be here. And when we know that when we're vibrating at a high frequency, we're doing exactly what we came here to do. When we're vibrating at a low frequency, we're not doing what we came here to do. That's why we feel so bad, because that's our inner self saying, oh, no, you're kind of off track, you know? And when you do, when you do something to raise your vibration, whatever that is, painting, dancing, playing an instrument, whatever makes you smile, whatever brings joy to your heart, that is what you're supposed to be doing. And yes, when you do it, it is bringing joy to the universe, not just the world.
yes, absolutely. And we know that it is possible for that from a consciousness perspective of the universe, distance does not matter. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance.
Distance, yes.
But yes, that is the whole idea behind how we are all one, and there really is no distance. Space and time are illusions. Now, regarding humanity being all one. Funny I say that, because I was at the moment I said we were all one, I look at your video called "We Are the 99%." Well, the 1%, they're still part of the one that is everything.
Yes,
even though they're not interested with us, we have to learn how to love them. And
wait! I don't mean to cut you off. I didn't mean to cut you off. That 1%, because I did a video a while back saying our shadow side. The cabal is our shadow side. So I do not look at the 1% as separate from us. Matter of fact, all year, the past year, I've been wanting to do a thank you video to the cabal, to the 1%, because it was them that caused our awakening. I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart. for what they are doing. What the 1% are doing, I'm like, thank you. Even today when I was working out, I was like, I got to do that video. I got to make that thank you video to the cabal, because I know they are a shadow, just like we each have a shadow side individually. Humanity has a shadow side, and I'll give them their full name is the elitist, globalist, draconian, deep state cabal. That's our shadow side. They're not separate from us at all. It's all a frequency thing. They're at a very low frequency, and they think by keeping us in a state of fear, that's the only way they can control us, is because we are sovereign beings. They cannot, and they know this, they cannot take away our sovereign power. We give it to them. And we have given it to them. And they didn't do it to us. We did it to ourselves. They just knew how to, but everything is hidden in plain sight. That's going to be my next video that I post. I'm going to record a video soon that the title of it is Hidden in Plain Sight, because they operate from universal law. They know we're sovereign beings, but they know that we don't know that we're sovereign beings. And they know if they can trick us into being in a state of fear, and they can trick us into thinking, oh, little me, I can't do anything because it's oh, little me. So they've been doing that for eons. So when we're in a state of fear, and when we think, oh, little me, I can't do anything, that's when they feed off of that fear. They feed off of us not knowing who we are. But that 1% is not separate from us. But it's time for the 99% to say, no more. I'm awake. I know who I am. You can't touch me. Okay. But
okay. Thank you very much. Now, switching gears here. The Awake to Oneness Radio channel. I have actually sorted the videos by most popular to least popular.
Okay.
Talking points here. It turns out the most popular video on your channel was made 10 months ago about the dreaded CV word that should not be uttered on YouTube, or your channel will get demonetized. A lot of people, although I still find a few people that actually are using that word and still are able to show a few ads. Although I was actually duped. I did an interview with David Morgan, the Silver Guru, and I accidentally used that word. And I was like, oh my God, this means my channel is going to be demonetized. And I was actually in the process of getting reapplied for monetization. So they then next day they reapplied me. I was like, well, maybe they were sending their CV ban, but that was all to screw with me, because the next thing I know, they said, oh, you're demonetized right after we said you're okay to monetize. And,
really? I'm monetized. My channel is monetized. I don't monetize every video. I did that particular video that you're talking about. I don't monetize it if it's not my own creation. Okay. I only monetize my shows and my vlogs. But if I'm taking something else and sharing it from someplace else on YouTube, I don't monetize it.
Okay. Thank you for pointing that out. Although it's driving me crazy to see so many people on YouTube at the present moment are like not talking free speech style. They're talking in a code of sorts where they're using letters in place of words and all that, because they know that the censorship is rampant. I personally am not really interested in following that protocol. I prefer to just say what I want and
right. Yeah.
But I'm already demonetized anyway, so it's not like I don't think it can get any worse. And well, I don't think.
People have been many very good channels have been completely deplatformed, not just demonetized, but deplatformed. The censorship. Oh, it's on steroids. It's truly right now. There's truly no freedom of speech in this country, and I just posted about that yesterday. I've had a community guideline strike and was suspended for a week, And it wasn't even for, I didn't even monetize. It was one, okay, it was David Icke speaking at a rally this past summer in the UK. It was a 12-minute video. The title of the video I titled Love and Unity for Freedom. Was it Love and Peace for Freedom? Something like that. I titled it. It was just a 12-minute talk of David Icke, and I posted that. And at the core message that David Icke was saying was exactly that: love and peace for freedom. That's what it was. That was the gist. And they took it down, and they gave me a community guideline strike, and I couldn't post for a week. And that one was not even, I didn't monetize it because it was not me, it was David Icke.
Well, okay, right. And, David Icke, he's been banned from YouTube. It was back in the day, he could talk about whatever he wanted to talk about. Nobody would bother him because
they just did it this year. Like you said, I discovered David Icke back in, I want to say 2010. And David Icke has been saying the same message for 30 years. I say David Icke is humanity's alarm clock. He's been the humanity's alarm clock for the past 30 years. And just this year, they totally deplatformed him. So, and he's been saying the same thing for 30 years. So, yes, their censorship is on steroids. The big tech censorship. And then somebody just told me about Parler about a week ago, which is a new freedom of speech platform. And I just found out yesterday the big tech companies attacked Parler and kind of took them down. They don't want anybody. It's complete madness. But I laugh at them because people are waking up despite their censorship. I did a cartoon I posted on my Facebook page a few months ago of a horse named Truth. And you see the farmer is closing the barn door after the horse named Truth has already gotten out the barn. So the truth is already circulating around the globe, and their censorship is just shooting them in the foot because things that are getting censored are actually getting more views because it's like, okay, they're censoring it. That means there's something they don't want me to see. I think I want to see it. So everything they do, everything they're doing, they're shooting their own self in the foot, and I'm laughing at them.
Well, yes,
it's thanking them.
Yeah, you're laughing, and you can't help but be a little confused, though, with some of the things that have come out about what the truth may be. And since you mentioned David Icke, I need to point out he has caused a bit of a brouhaha among some with his assertions. Well, two things. One, he doesn't seem any interest at all in talking about how Donald Trump, the man, wants to be a good president. He's still compromised, though, by Illuminati forces against his will. But David Icke seems to want to see a conspiracy in anything. It doesn't take any of the good things Trump has done. And not only that, David Icke, even though he did originally point out that there were a couple bioterror labs in the Wuhan area of China where that virus was said to have come from, he did change his tone a few weeks after that, asserting that the virus actually does not exist. What's really going on is that they are testing for a genetic material exosome that resembles the virus, and that, he asserts, is what they are saying is the virus, when in reality it doesn't exist. However, one thing that really, for some, all of a sudden, this is resonating with me now. It has been said that, well, there's a virus, but then there isn't a virus, and it's not what you think. I had an interview with Sophia Smallstorm recently where she pointed out that she agrees with this, that the 1918 Spanish flu was actually not a virus in the biological sense, but a technology virus, because that was after the First World War. A lot of new sophisticated technology had come out of a radio and microwave frequency bands and such that humanity was not accustomed to, and that caused humanity to become sick. Now, some have asserted that what's going on here is this virus is actually the way humanity is not responding well to 5G technology, and I seem to recall somewhere hearing that maybe that exosome that David Icke's talking about that they're testing for, it actually comes out of the body more easily if the body is bombarded with 5G. Okay, so I'm opening up a whole new can of worms here, suggesting that it's just 5G screwing with humanity at an ever more precedented rate, and the genetic material exosome is the virus that we've been suckered into believing is a harmful virus. But then again, we just saw a news report today saying that Trump seems to have evidence that Wuhan was the start of the virus. So how are we supposed to make sense of all this? And David Icke's 180-degree turn and his inability to see Trump as a good president or wannabe good president. How do you feel about that?
Okay, again, you said a mouthful, which is great, and I totally follow what you're saying. I actually have looked a lot into the science of this whole COVID-19. It's David Icke was trying to share information from a Dr. Andrew Kaufman, who has been a guest on my show. And I discovered Dr. Andrew Kaufman from David Icke. And what Dr. Andrew Kaufman is saying is that they have not isolated a virus, meaning, and there's it's easy to do. It's a 3-step process called Koch postulates to isolate a virus. And this has not been done. They have not isolated the quote so-called Wuhan virus, has not been isolated. And what they're testing, and I did a 5-part series back in May, or like late spring, early summer, a 5-part series on my YouTube channel called 2020, the Year of Clear Vision. And I go into detail of all of this. So they have not isolated the virus, number one. Number two, the test that they're using, the PCR test, I think I said it right because I sometimes get acronyms wrong, but the test that they're using is not testing for a virus. And the creator of the test, Carrie Mullis, who suspiciously died December 2019, so he's not around to say, he won a Nobel Peace Prize for creating this test. He's not around to say, no, the test is not designed, but he did say it. The test that he invented is not designed to detect for a virus or detect for illness at all. And now what they do with this test is they amplify it. They're looking for genetic material called RNA. But to find that genetic material, they amplify it. Now, even Anthony Fauci, I hate to use the word doctor in front of his name, but even Anthony Fauci said, if you amplify the test more than 35 times or 35 cycles, it's garbage. They have been testing people with this PCR test in the UK and America at 45 cycles, meaning the test is garbage and they know it. And every word I'm saying is gospel truth. Okay, so they have not isolated a virus. They're testing with a test that is not testing for a virus. It's testing for a piece of RNA, which is a piece of your DNA, that we all have DNA. And the more they amplify it, the more positives they're going to get. And even Anthony Fauci, in this video you can find right on YouTube of Anthony Fauci saying this, that if they amplify it more than 35 times, it's useless. And they've been amplifying it amplifying it 45 times. The whole thing is a scam. It's such a scam that it's not even funny. It's such a scam. They changed classifications of deaths to say if you got shot, there's some place where a fifth of the COVID deaths were gunshot wounds. I forget where that was located, but I heard that somewhere on. I mean, it's the scam is it's such a scam that it isn't even. It's like it's laughable. Because anybody has to do. See, I don't watch news. Have not watched news in 19 years. I stopped watching news right after 9/11. And again, that was my higher self and did not know why. This is 2001. This is before my awakening to oneness. 2001, my higher self said, turn off that news and never turn it back on. Loud as day. It was an internal knowing to turn it off and never turn it back on. And I did not know why. I didn't find out why until 11 years later. It was actually on the anniversary of 9/11. I found out why my higher self told me to turn off that news. But I don't want to get too far off track. So getting back to the virus, what is gospel truth is that there has not been a virus particle isolated, because what you have to do is isolate it from other pathogens, and they haven't done that. Number two, the test that they're using does not detect for a virus. Even the creator of the test, Carrie Mullis, said when he won a Nobel Peace Prize in 1984 for inventing this test, it's not, and he said you cannot use this test to test for a virus. And he, again, suspiciously transitioned. I don't like to say death because there's no such thing as death. He transitioned in December of 2019. I think maybe some people didn't want him around in 2020. But anyway, but they're using this test to put people in a fake test. And it's widely known now, all over the internet. It's widely known that this test is not testing for a virus. But they keep putting out these, so many more cases. And I don't watch them. I know exactly what's going on in this world. And I have not watched mainstream news in 19 years. But as far as, and now I'm not political at all. So as far as Donald Trump, I don't know. I don't know what the man is up to. I have no clue. But I have nothing against anyone. So I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Biden supporter because I'm not political. But it's interesting to see what's going to happen between now and the inauguration. It's interesting because it doesn't make sense. Why are they trying to impeach him? I'm like, isn't the man just going to be in office a few more days? I'm like, duh. But there's a reason. There's a reason
and
behind.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the word on the street is he signed the Insurrection Act, but he hasn't told the world yet.
Huh? Say that again? I missed that.
The word on the street is that Donald Trump signed the Insurrection Act, but hasn't told anybody yet.
What is that, though? I don't know what that is.
The Insurrection Act of 1807 allows the president to use military use in the several states of America in total disregard of the Posse Comitatus Act in order to quash some sort of like a rebellion or something that's a threat to everybody. It's been invoked. Its first was 1807. It's Insurrection Act of 1807. I believe that was during the presidency of Thomas Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been used since. Wikipedia, the page for the Insurrection Act of 1807, it does not actually, as of now, list the Donald Trump signing it. Well, that's of course because he hasn't told anybody yet, but the word on the street is he's going to use the military to mass arrest maybe all the Antifa thugs and all masquerading as Trump supporters who crashed the Capitol building back on the 6th.
Right.
Yes, and all that. So do you have anything to say?
Well, I heard yesterday that also during the, Antifa definitely was a part of that 1%, because also I used 1% of that protest, was the Capitol building madness, but that was instigated by Antifa, and yes, some supporters, and I say, because it wasn't only Trump supporters, to me, because I know people that went to that protest, to me, that was a protest for freedom and truth. And truth in the elections, truth in everything that we've been told by the mass media. So that's what, and it was mostly Trump supporters, but there were also some Biden supporters there, because it was the supporters were, their main thing was, we want truth and freedom. That is what we're standing up for. And 99% of that protest was peaceful. People were singing, people were praying together, singing together, and standing up for their rights. Now, the 1% that, first of all, we know that the Capitol Police opened the gates. There's video of that. The Capitol Police opened the gates. They let them in. They were being hyped up by Antifa antagonists, but some Trump supporters might have, in the heat of the moment, got drawn into it. But all they did, they went into the building. They didn't really they broke a few windows from what I saw. But I also found out that there was also military guys there dressed as Trump supporters, and that they got Pelosi's laptop. That's what I heard yesterday. So that I hear a lot of things on the street too. I hear a lot that's going on the street, but what I do is I hear it and it's like, okay, let me keep my eyes open and see what actually. I've been hearing word on the street since March, of 2020, and I've been, waiting and hoping, and like some of the word on the street would actually come to pass. You know what I mean? But I'm not married to the word on the street. I keep my ear to the ground and I listen to the word on the street, and it's like, okay, I'll see what happens. Because I'm not married to what happens in this 3D matrix. It's nothing that happens outside of me is what brings me happiness. I'd love to see, I know, like I'm breathing, and I know since 2012 that the draconian deep state cabal exists. The draconian deep state cabal controls this world, not just this country. And I know, like breathing, and it is 1% of the population. This is not conspiracy theory. This is conspiracy truth. This is conspiracy fact. They control the media. By controlling the media, they control the masses. And yes, many are still sleeping. But I do believe, and I've been hoping and waiting for it to happen since 2020, for the masses to get a huge awakening event, which I'm told it might be as soon as between now and the 20th of January, the 20th of this month. There's a lot I've heard. I have heard. I have not heard of that. I have heard that Donald Trump, and I've heard this now for about a month or even more, that Donald Trump may evoke martial law. So that I have heard, but the act that you had just called out by name, I wasn't familiar with.
Well, that is essentially a martial law enactment act, and you're also told he may act martial law by one of my radio show guests, who's got an Italian name I can't actually pronounce, but
That's okay.
yeah, right.
I'm
But
bad with names.
yeah, but he said that and this would be the way to do it, the Insurrection Act. And of course, they
Okay.
try to spin it by saying that he's obviously a terrible president, trying to take away our liberties with the military, but that, of course, would not be the reason why he is doing this. So,
Right.
so
No.
right.
I have to say, because like I say, I'm not political, but the one thing I want to ask him is, you've had 4 years. Why haven't you drained the swamp? I'm waiting for you to drain the swamp. That's the only question I have for Mr. Trump. But no, I totally do not buy into all of the media lies about President Trump. Not at all.
I do also believe, and I say this to make my radio listeners optimistic and all, that Donald Trump does want to drain the swamp, and sooner the better. In fact, one thing that he did that really I was really thrilled at, because this is a sign that he's not fearful of blackmail anymore. Well, first of all, I was informed by Ted Marr at the Conscious Life Expo that I was at in 2018, that when Donald Trump had that meeting in 2017 with Henry Kissinger, for all intents and purposes, Kissinger held that meeting so he could tell Donald Trump, "You will do what my minions and I tell you to do, or else you and your family will be dead." Yeah, Henry Kissinger. Well, of course, Henry Kissinger and also Madeleine Albright, who's a very like basically the female Henry Kissinger to some extent on planet Earth. She and he were both given the boot as Pentagon advisors by Donald Trump, which leads me to believe, okay, forget that you threatened me. You're fired. Get out of my life. I'm not scared of you and your Zionist minions anymore, Kissinger, which is, I think, a good sign.
Yes.
So, yeah, you seem to agree with.
Well, the other side. See, I posted on my Facebook page that we know Fauci is a cabal plant. He's been there for 40 years. Not one word out of his mouth is truth. And I posted on my Facebook page, Fauci must have more power than Trump, because why does Trump keep him? Why is he still in that position? And then Biden administration says, "Oh, we're going to keep Fauci," even though millions of people, millions of Americans want Fauci out. Why is that man still in that position? It has to be higher than the presidency. That's kind of what I posted. Yeah, I got flack for posting it, but I call it like it is. I call a spade a spade. There's no way that man should still be in there. And he's been there for 40 years. He's been there for how many presidents is that? 40 years. 10 presidents. Yeah. The man is cabal all the way. And for some reason, they can't fire him. But it is what it is.
Yes. And the Earth Intelligence Report, which I see was posted on, I think, your radio show Facebook page, that Brad Johnson channels the drones.
I love Brad. Yes.
Yeah, I love him too. That was filled with all positive reports about what's going to happen for humanity, and anyone who's seen what's going on, who actually thinks Biden is going to get in the Oval Office, would hear all of that Johnson said and think, "Whoa, you're saying this a little too soon. There's no way this is going to happen with Biden, who's so lost that he doesn't even know what secret societies he's part of. God help us if he gets the presidency."
Also, I love Brad. I've had Brad on my show twice. Also, the Intelligent Report also kind of goes to what Adronis, Brad channels Adronis. Adronis channeled back in, I want to say, it wasn't December, because Brad was taking a break in December. It had to be November. And what Adronis came through, Adronis was very interesting to me. And it resonated with me that neither Biden or Trump will be president in 2021. That it will be more from the military, not necessarily the person that will be in charge. I can't see them being called a president because they're not going to be someone that has been elected to the office. But I understood why that prediction from Adronis, he was just reading the energy and reading the timelines at the time, and the intelligent report still goes along with that. Matter of fact, just a few days ago, Brad said Adronis says what he said in that reading back in November still stands. And I kind of can see that because, yes, there are definitely many more Trump supporters than Biden supporters. Biden is what, when you call a puppet, that's being kind, calling him a puppet. But and the whole agenda that his agenda is to just take away our freedoms like you would take away candy from a baby. But there's his few supporters, because he does not have many. Everybody with eyes to see knows that the election was completely stolen. But his few supporters would be up in arms if Trump was put back into office for another 4 years. So to squash all of the concern of Biden supporters and even appeasing Trump supporters, there has to be a neutral party. And the neutral party, from what Adronis is saying, and if people don't know who Adronis is, you can go to Brad Johnson's channel, which is New Earth Teachings, and go to Adronis talks about this in detail. Adronis is an alien, he's a Syrian, and he says from reading the timelines that there will be a military takeover of the U.S., and the military will appoint someone not as president, because it wouldn't be right to call that person a president when he hasn't been elected to the office. But I do not see Biden taking office on the 20th. If Biden does take office on the 20th, I say a lot of what I heard was a lot of what I've been hearing since March has been a psyop from the cabal. If Biden actually takes office and serves in that position of president, then we have been psyoped since summer of 2017. That would be my conclusion. But I don't see that happening. I do not see Biden taking office. And I don't really see Trump being put back into office for another 4 years. I'm hoping that before he leaves office, he actually drains the swamp. That is my hope. But I'm not married to it. I'm still in the fifth dimension either way. They can't touch me. The draconian deep state cabal can't touch me because my vibration is way higher than theirs. They can't even see me. I'm invisible to them.
Good for you. Lucky you. No such thing as luck. Everything happens for a reason. And if that really is a thing that keeps you going and not have to worry about any roadblocks in the way, well, lucky you. I still use that word.
Well, it's all energy. See, we don't, you know what I learned in 7th grade? My 7th grade science teacher said something profound that stayed with me. When we were studying atoms and molecules in 7th grade, my science teacher said nothing is truly solid. And then he said that I'm like, what the hell? What is he talking about? We know you take anything and put it under a high-powered microscope. What do you see? You see tiny moving particles that are not even touching, tiny moving particles we call atoms. And we know now that an atom is 99.9999% empty space. That's why I said everything is spiritual. We do not live in a physical universe. The 3D matrix we're in is a very low vibration, and it makes it very dense. So it appears solid. It's not solid. We create what we experience from thought form. We create it. So I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing because I know that we live in an energy field. And so do the Cabal. And the Cabal is at a much lower energy field than I'm at. So they physically touch me. And and I invite everybody to come up to that vibration. So it's not just me. Don't just say, lucky me. We create our own luck. We create our own reality. This is science. This is not woo-woo spirituality. Spirituality and science are teaching us the same thing. So it's all good.
Yes, it is all good. So regarding what's going to happen in America, it has been said that this time period, up until 2024, is going to be American Civil War that will morph into an American Revolution of sorts. And there's that eclipse on April 8th, 2024, solar eclipse that crisscrosses America in the opposite path of the one that crisscrossed America in 2017 August.
Mm-hmm.
And the crossing point of those two eclipses is Carbondale, Illinois. I do plan on going there for that eclipse. I can only imagine that the creator gods are going to make sure it's a sunny day in that place where the crisscross point is of those two eclipses. I don't remember if I didn't get to see the 2017 eclipse because I went down to Charleston and clouds ruined it. At least I got to see my beloved nephew at the time. So nice consolation prize. Anyhow,
I'm here in the Poconos where I live, which is northeast Pennsylvania. I did go. I mean, I know we were not in the direct path. We actually, a few of my friends and I talked about hopping in a car and going down. I guess we're glad we didn't do that. We stayed here, and we were able to see what we could see from, we were not in the what they call the direct path, but it was good. It was clear here, and we got to see it, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty good, and I do know what you're talking about. Now, again, Adronis is. I listen to many channels. From what I get from Adronis is that by 2024 we will be living what appears to be heaven on earth. By 2024, what my higher self has told me for this year is the year of unity. My higher self told me in 2019 that 2020 was going to be the year of clear vision, 2020 sight, and that and I get the message like the year before what the next year is going to be. My higher self has told me that 2021 is the year of unity. I know it's going to be some I guess stormy weather we're going to go through, but you can ride out the storm on a high like me. Like I rode out all of 2020 on a high. I'm going to continue to ride out the rest of this storm on a high because I understand this has to happen. The old has to be torn down brick by brick, piece by piece. There's a passage in the Bible that says, no stone left unturned. And that's what we're going through. We're going through the 3D matrix collapsing in front of our eyes, and nobody said it was going to be pretty. Nobody says when you demolish a building, it's going to be pretty. But when you know that that building has to be demolished so the new earth can emerge, you are rejoicing at that building collapsing. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I am. And regarding the idea of heaven on earth in 2024, are you sure you're not confusing that with Brad Johnson's talking about 2037
No, no,
being the
okay.
3-day period? And
I know, no. See, a lot's going to happen between. Okay, no. I know exactly what Drona said. 2037 is going to be the harvest. Yes, I do. Now that harvest means we're literally like right now we are on a new earth. The earth's actually split on December 20th, 21st, 2020. We are on a new earth right now. And we are going to experience, everybody always does, but even more exponentially, we're going to experience what we're a vibrational match to. But come 2037 is going to be we'll be on different earths. That's the harvest. We will be literally moving. You will be moving to a earth where everybody is of the same vibration. That happens in 2037. But people don't want to think that far off, and it's not far. We will be living. We will be building a new earth, because Jonas even talks about the new 3D earth. How it's going to be. It will be heaven compared to the old 3D earth. And we're working, so he does talk about 2024, where all that old corruption, the cabal, all of that will be in the past come 2024. That's kind of what I get from what Adronis is saying.
Okay, fair enough. And a couple of things that I guess these are somewhat related, that a lot of people seem to agree to disagree on these issues, currency, money, and also the immigration issues. I mean, on one hand, you got even Donald Trump, the way one thing I think he could have maybe not done so much was bash immigrants and all that. But the immigration thing, it was an issue in the sense that there was a conspiracy to flood countries, including America and many of the European countries, with illegal immigrants to destabilize the country, take people's jobs and all that. And the only way to fix that is to have secure borders and a decent immigration vetting process. However, a lot of people in the spiritual community say that they want to see a day where there is open borders, and people can travel freely through countries just like they can do within the states, provinces, or territories of nations, without needing a passport within the nation. You need one to travel through the nations. Well, maybe you won't at some point in time. And one of the reasons I hear that open borders doesn't work in this present world anyway is because we have different currencies and different languages. And, the language factor, it would be nice if everybody could speak one language, or at best communicate with our hearts, so we don't have to maybe speak with our mouths. But also, when it comes to currency, this is another issue that never seems to get old and always makes for a great radio conversation, even though it pisses a lot of people off. The whole Nasara Jasara RV thing, it's getting really annoying. This whole global currency reset might happen next Tuesday. It's getting really annoying. And of course, when you realize that the banker's loaning us money that doesn't exist and charging us interest on the loans makes debt and inflation unavoidable, it's kind of like in your face, the ultimate ball and chain, if there is one, from keeping our consciousness expansion blossoming to an ascension. So we got to get rid of that somehow, some way. And everybody's talking about how some gold standard thing is going to happen, and maybe after a couple decades or so after that, we'll transition to no money at all. Okay, well, as long as there's money, I don't think there's heaven on earth. So you don't think money's gonna be gone entirely by 2024, but maybe.
Well, I don't. Well, from what I understand, it's going to be more going more back to the barter system by 2024. I don't, as far as the financial aspects of it, I know that when we're truly squarely in 5D, there will be no money. There will be no borders. There will be no language barriers because we will be communicating telepathically. We as a species are evolving now, not just Mother Earth. Mother Earth Gaia is a living being, and she is raising her frequency, and everything on her, the frequency is raising. As our frequency raises, our body is literally changing from carbon base to crystalline base, and all of this is happening gradually. So I know it's our human monkey mind, I call it. It's our human monkey mind that wants to know. Okay, how is this happening? When is it going to happen? That's the human monkey mind. I've learned from living the last 10 years of my life, at least, from the heart and soul. I'll never know the next moment until I'm in that moment. And it's like all I know is going to be good, because that's where my frequency is. I'm creating the next moment from my current moment frequency. And I don't try, because I've learned that spirit, my higher self, spirit, even like I told you back in 2001, my higher self told me, turn off that news and don't ever turn it on again. I was completely clueless as to why, but I was obedient. And I even asked why. I didn't get the answer till 11 years later, why I was told to turn off that news, because it is trying to keep you in a low vibration. It's telling you nothing but lies. It's just, I found that out 11 years later, after I was told to do something by my higher self, and I was obedient, because I know that, okay, I'm going to be obedient to my inner guidance, and know that Spirit is not going to give me the next step until I make the first step. So I like I said, I do hear, I listen to channel messages all the time. I listen to some very credible astrologers that I've had on my show. Pam Gregory is one. Braca Goldsmith is another. Those are the two astrologers I listen to. But again, for me, it's living in this now moment, because my power is in this now moment. And whatever is the future, whatever time, and we live in a multiverse, a multi-dimension. My future is going to be different than someone else's future. What timeline I end up on is what I'm a vibrational match to. So as far as all that, how is the money going to, it's going to fade out. How it fades out, I have no idea. That corruption is coming to an end. The cabal reign is over. And that literally, technically, there's a date. That cabal reign ended December 21st, 2020. Now we're just, kind of going, like everything on in this 3D matrix, in this physical realm, what we call physical, it happens at a slower pace than if we were in spirit. If we were in spirit, things would happen instantaneously. We're not in spirit. So again, I'm never married. I'm not married to predictions. I hear things, and I go with what resonates in my heart and soul. Like I said, the reading that Adronis gave back in November about neither Biden or Trump being president, come by the end of 2021 at least, resonated with me. It's like that feels better, and hope, and it would be great. Donald Trump, you clean the swamp, before you leave office. Hey, thumbs up. Take me out to dinner. I was going to say, I'll take you out to dinner, but he's got more money, so I'll let him take me out to dinner. It's just, It's our humanness that wants to know, but in truth, no psychic can tell you what the future is going to be. All a psychic can do is read the current energy, but the current energy can change in the next moment. So I hope that kind of answered your question.
I'd say it would. And well, it kind of makes sense, I would think, to some extent, that this year would be the end of something and the start of something else, like you saying the end of the Piscean age going into the Aquarian age, or the end of the Cabal rule of the Cabal and all. Makes sense, considering that we're still in it, by the way. Even though it's 2021, we are still in the year of the rat in the Chinese zodiac, and rat is the first sign of the Chinese zodiac, which hints that this was in a sense a fresh start. Fresh starts happen all the time, but this was a great one on a great annual scale, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Because of that, and the year of the ox will be on February. The new moon, that's on February 11th, is whatever time that is the official start time of the Chinese New Year of the ox.
Awesome.
So, do you have anything to say about the like, a lot of people, when they hear me talk about China, they're thinking, oh my God, China is becoming a boogeyman or something to be fearful of, like Russia was in the time of the Cold War. But I mean, if someone broke into my house, and they might think I support the Chinese communists with all the feng shui stuff I've been putting in my house.
Oh, I love feng shui. You know what I have? If you know anything about feng shui, you know what I have surrounding me in my office? Pictures of waterfalls. Well, that's in feng shui, and that's the only feng shui I know, is waterfalls are a symbol of abundance, and I love waterfalls. There's a national park not far from me that has 22 amazing waterfalls. I love to go hiking there. Matter of fact, I'll be camping there in end of April. But it's the fountains, water fountains, and waterfalls are a symbol of abundance, and I have them surrounding me. That's all I know about feng shui. And I always, every year, I go to the local Chinese restaurant and get a Chinese calendar. It's our calendar, but on this roll that, it's beautiful, decorative. So, and I actually have a lot of Chinese art in my house. My last name is Chang because I was married to a Chinese Jamaican. My children have Chinese in them. Actually, I have Irish. I have, my great-great-grandfather was 100% Irish. He married my great-great-grandmother, who was half Cherokee and half African-American. So I have Irish. I have a Native American Cherokee Indian, and I have Black in me, and my children have Irish, Native American, Black, and Chinese in them. Okay, all four. So this whole thing, we're all one, guys. No, there's no enemy here, because the only enemy is yourself. We're all one. Yep. But yeah, no, I love Chinese art too. I have a lot of Chinese art around my house as well.
Yes, and I don't know that thing about waterfalls. I will look into that, about how waterfalls are
waterfalls and fountains.
Okay, I did get myself a feng shui fountain of sorts, but and it is a waterfall in a sense. So, oh my God, I just realized I never looked at it as a waterfall. It's one of the popular ones on Amazon you could buy with the things where the water just flows down off pads with rocks on them. Yeah. So
yes. I have two fountains too in my office. I just never have them running, but I did get two fountains.
Okay, so well, you are talking about how we're all one and everything, so I can't help but ask you a couple questions that maybe conflict with it, the idea there.
Okay.
Now, first of all, Zulu shaman Credo Mutwa recently passed away. He was almost 100 or something. He said that the best advice anybody ever gave him was his mother telling him, "You have no one to blame but yourself." But to some extent, I can't help but disagree with that, because it has been said by many that we, in this 3D reality, we are faced with free will interference. And if we are faced with free will interference, then isn't it okay to shift maybe a little bit of blame on those who are interfering with our free will and not just ourselves?
But I hear what you're saying, and there's no way I would say that the cabal has not interfered. They haven't taken it away. They have tricked us into giving it away, because we don't remember who we are. So they're like, oh, we can trick them into giving us their power. So I'm not saying the cabal has not tricked the masses for eons into giving away, and the cabal has enslaved humanity for eons by tricking humanity into giving away their power. But we did give it away, even though it was tricked. We did it. But here's the thing, and the cabal is not separate from us. So that the cabal it's only us tricking us into giving away our power. So what his mom said, we are 1,000% creating our reality. There's nothing outside of us doing anything to us. We are creating it. We're creating it because we live hundreds of lives. There is no such thing as death. There is nothing but eternal life. We chose this life. We chose this life for a reason. Karma, the word karma only means balancing. Now, when we pass from this life and we're in spirit and we have our life review, hundreds and thousands of near-death experiencers talk about this. It's like a movie screen of our entire life. And when we have that life review, we feel everything that other person felt from our actions and from our words, because we feel it when we're in spirit, because we are one with that person. So if we hurt somebody and we're now having that life, you feel that pain that you caused that person because you're one with that person. And then you're like, oh my goodness, I got to go back and make that right. I got to go back. I got to do this again because I have to make that right. But that's you. That's you saying, as a sovereign divine being of light, that's you saying, I want to go back and make it right. Now, here's a great example. Now, say you kill somebody in a lifetime, and then you die, you have your soul review, and you see, oh my goodness, that was so wrong to do that. Now I got to go back. I have to make that right. Now you come back. There's two ways you can make that. Well, there's probably more than, but I'm going to give you two examples on how you can make that right with your karma. You could save someone's life. You could see a little girl about to walk into the street and get hit by a car, and you run out and you save her. You save that life. By saving a life, you have balanced out that karma of you killing a life in another lifetime. Now, you can choose to be killed yourself in that second lifetime. But here's you have a free will in that second lifetime where you're trying to balance out that karma. You can choose the high road. You can choose the positive way of balancing out that karma by saving a life. Or you can choose the low road and have someone kill you. And you have that choice. That is your free will choice. You have that free will choice in every now moment of how you balance out your karma from another lifetime. And balancing out karma does not, everybody thinks karma is it is not. All it is balancing. And you can balance out your karma from a high vibration, not a low one. You get me?
Yes, I do get you. And since we're talking about karma, I need to get your take on something that I used to joke around with back in the day, but now all of a sudden I realize that thing I joked around with was not such a good idea. Well, first of all, I've come to the realization that the credit card is God's way of seeing how good humanity can resolve its karma. Came to that realization after when I was given $16,000 as part of a trust fund payment for some property in New England, farm property that my father's side of the family owned. I used that $16,000 to pay off all my credit card debt. And right after paying all the pay debt buttons on the bank websites, I got the worst headache ever. And there were several things that happened after that, which led me to believe that that was karma going to the head from a karma resolution standpoint, and also my body reacting to the karma with the headache and all that. And I had made a joke out of like this whole global currency reset thing. Let's say hypothetically, when the switch is going to be made to a gold-backed currency. Well, and let's say you know that and you use your credit cards, max them out to buy as much gold and silver as you possibly can. And then when the gold-backed currency is announced, the old financial system is taken away, meaning there's a debt jubilee. So all your credit card debt gets wiped out and you get to keep all the gold that you bought. Is that a good or a bad idea? Well, the greedy people would instantly jump on that. And maybe some people are, considering that some credit card have been declined and credit card companies have taken away service to people who use their credit cards to buy gold and silver. Natural News did some articles on that, but I've realized that no, that would actually be a very stupid idea, because even though the debt was paid off through that debt jubilee, all the karma that you generated from buying all that gold and silver with your credit cards is still with you and was not wiped away with the jubilee, and you're going to have to pay the price for that in some unpleasant way. So it's better to get your credit cards down to zero before you use them to buy gold and silver, and then get them back down to zero before you buy more of it with your credit card. Is there any?
I hear what you're saying, but here's my thing. My whole purpose with my show and everything I do is to inspire. And I say inspire. All I can do is inspire another to go within and tap into the truth within them. Because that's where the truth is, not outside of you. Truth is within you. And I say that for me, when a person is truly awake, I don't think about finances at all. Zero. I know that I am infinitely abundant. And every now moment, I know that everything is taken care of by the universe in every now moment. There is nothing I need in any now moment. And so I stopped thinking about finances. Oh, I can't even say how many years ago. And everything I do, like with my show and my speaking engagement, everything I do is nonprofit. I was invited to speak in California this past the first week of January. I was invited to speak. My entire trip was paid for. I didn't ask for it. They invited me to speak and they offered to pay for the trip. I'm like, okay. Now the only thing, I don't wear a mask. And the only time I ever had to wear a mask is to fly to California. So in the entire year of 2020, I did not put on a mask. But New Year's Day, I flew out to California, and just on the plane, I did not have to wear it in the Uber. I did not have to wear it in the airport, just on the plane. And if I was eating, I could, but I had seen a video on YouTube of a guy. This was before the election, a black guy. He was wearing a Trump hat. I think he had a Trump hat, and he was also wearing a Trump mask. I think it said Trump on his mask. And he was on a plane. As soon as he got on the plane, he started eating peanuts, because they say you could take it off to eat and drink. So I guess his thing was, I'm going to eat peanuts the whole ride, but he did that before the plane took off, and they kicked him off the plane. So it's like, okay, I've got things to nibble on, but I'm not going to start nibbling until this plane is in the air. I don't want to get kicked off. So, and I actually, coming back, I love the window seat. So coming back, on the window seat, my whole body was turned towards the window, and I loved looking out the window before it got dark. But I also found out I could take off half of the mask while I'm turned. My whole body is turned facing the window, and I could take off half of the mask, and they won't even see that it's off. So, because I know I don't wear the mask because I know it's unhealthy. Period. It's completely unhealthy for healthy people to wear a mask. But I say all that to say, back to the money thing, back to the fight, I do not think about it. I do what I love to do, and the universe takes care of me. So as far as finance, all I can do is say, this is how I live my life. I know that in every now moment, I'm always abundant. I have everything I need in every now moment. And I know I'll continue because I know who I am as a sovereign divine being of light. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
well, it was actually more on the lines of my question was really, do you generate bad karma for yourself if you were to do something like that? Like max out all your credit cards to take advantage on gold and silver to take advantage of a currency reset and a debt jubilee. If that's the way it plays out, you think that you can keep all the gold and silver that you buy because the credit card debt was just wiped off when they did the currency reset, but you didn't lose your karma when they did that, because whenever you pay off a credit card debt, you are resolving karma to some degree.
Well, okay. Well, okay. The thing I can say about karma, it's intention. What the universe looks at is your intentions. Not exactly what you did, but what was your intentions behind what you did. So if your intentions are a good thing, like say if your intentions are, okay, if I do this, I'll make a lot of money, so I can use this money to help a lot of people. If that's your intention, that's all the universe looks at is your intentions. Does that make sense?
Okay, well, does that mean that the universe will like sympathize with you if you're struggling to make a living, like someone who's living on the streets who has to steal to survive? I mean, is the universe gonna say you're already living it really hard, so I'm not gonna make things any harder for you? I'm just gonna let you keep living if you successfully steal the thing that you need to steal to keep living, which is food.
Okay, again, okay, if someone's on the street, if someone's homeless, we have to understand that we are sovereign divine beings creating our reality for a reason. We don't know what a person's purpose and karma path is. And being on the street might be that person actually resolving karma. We don't know. We can't judge. But I know if I don't live in the city, I don't see a lot of homelessness. If I live in the mountains, in the Pocono Mountains, the very few times I go to the city, if I see someone, matter of fact, this happened coming back from California. I was in Newark Airport, and there was a young man. He wasn't homeless at all. A young man who said that he messed up his card, his debit card, because he was traveling, and because he was in different locations, he had put some kind of fraud protection on his card. So because he used this card in 3 different locations, the fraud protection on his bank card went into action where he couldn't even use it. Now, this isn't what he's telling me. He's a young man. He's dressed nice and everything. He's got his mask on. I don't, because in the airport, I did not wear a mask. So this is when I'm trying to get an Uber. I'm in the airport. He comes up to me. He's like, I just need a few dollars to get a bus to Connecticut. And I'm like, I don't carry a lot of cash, but I gave him what I had, which was just a few dollars. Because people, they don't take cash anymore. So, I mean, when I used to travel, I used to make sure I had $100 cash on me. But this time when I travel, I'm like, why? People don't even want to take cash anymore. So I gave him I gave him every penny that was in my wallet, which was just a few dollars. But okay, and then when I've gone to New York City, if I see a homeless person and my heart says I need to give that person $1 or maybe buy that person a sandwich, do what your heart is leading you to do. In that respect, when it comes to the homeless, but also don't feel sorry for them. Don't be pity is the word. Everything is vibration, and pity is a very low vibration. I look at that homeless person as a sovereign, divine being of light. I don't know what that soul's purpose is, or that soul's karmic path, but I know karma is not a bad thing. Karma is not a punishment. Karma is a balancing, and it's you are doing the balancing. Nobody's punishing you. There's not like this God on a cloud saying, "Oh, you're bad, let me punish you." That is so not the truth. The truth is it's you doing you. You are creating. So if someone is in a situation where they find themselves homeless, they are creating that scenario for a higher purpose. And I see everyone on the planet as a sovereign, divine being of light. And I send them nothing but love and light. And when I can help another human being, when the opportunity comes across my path to help another human being, I do so. Just like I helped that young man in Newark Airport to get a bus to go to Connecticut. So does that kind of help?
Yes, I would say it does. And thank you for trying to make sense of it. It's a complicated issue and all, but trying to, in the end, make sense of it the best we can. And we've almost reached the 2-hour mark. Maybe time for one or two more subjects here. As far as humanity's ability to cope with the changes and all that we're going through, we had that individual from Israel come out saying that Donald Trump knew all about the ETs, but he was told not to say anything about them because humanity is not ready yet. And that's kind of a disappointing realization if that really is the case. I mean, you want humanity to be ready to handle these things. And Brad Johnson, he's also, I believe, said on at least one occasion that it's like trying to give a knife to a baby or something. And I think, are you comparing humanity with babies? I don't know, but also one more thing, Andrew Bartzis, his he did this thing called The Future, one of his emails. It's called The Future with a question mark after future, and I might as well quickly read it out here because this kind of makes the point here. And he writes, quote, "You want to know what it's going to be like in the future? It's about saving our culture. It's about cleaning up our planet. The financial system can be taken care of. It's already been thought of, but to implement a new financial system means there has to be a time for us as a human species to let down, to sleep, to heal, okay? There was a time when human awakening began on another timeline, on another previous timeline genocide during the second paradox, when we made it to 2004 and our species was told about UFOs, and it was so harsh in the way that it came through, not that the media did it wrong, and during the breakdown it was okay. Our people, ourselves, were so confounded by the lies that many of them just stopped living, and the whole society and the whole structure fell apart, and that cannot happen. There cannot be a cultural breakdown. Something of our food has to survive. Something in the way we live has to survive. There was incredibly beautiful lifetimes here. It has not all been dark. It is just propaganda that has made it look that way. unquote. That's what he's saying. And there's also the question: if humanity were given a world with no money, and everything was provided for, can humans be trusted to keep that going by working to keep it going? Or will humanity just become apathetic couch potatoes who think I don't have to do anything because everything's provided for me? Well, according to what Andrew Bartus has to say, they just won't be able to handle the truth about being lied to for so long that such technology that could make that possible to provide for everybody did exist. That, I mean, they basically stopped living their lives and said, I'm not going to work. What's the point now? Everything can be provided for me. So anything to say about that?
Yeah, again, you said a mouthful. Let's start with ETs. Again, I honestly don't have any insight on any other timelines, but ET for me, everything for me is very simple and very logical. I look up at the night sky and I know that there's trillions and billions of other planets, and to say that there's only life on this planet, how myopic is that viewpoint? One time, I'll never forget, I asked a friend of mine, this is when I was attending church regularly. I asked a friend of mine, does she believe in aliens? And she's like, it's not in the Bible. I'm like, it's like, okay. Anyway, for me, just looking up at the night sky, I know that we're not alone in the universe, period. And to me, that's a no-brainer. So for people to say, I'm shocked there's aliens, I'm like, okay, yeah, you were totally asleep, and yeah, you are a baby, because it's common sense that there's aliens. Okay, now yes, to me, I believe for many, 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 many years, the governments of the world are very familiar with aliens and have actually interacted with aliens. And now how much each president knew, I don't know. I have no clue. I don't think they all knew the same. I think some presidents, like I believe Eisenhower, knew a lot. There's talk of and I've had his great granddaughter as a guest on my show. I believe Eisenhower had a meeting with aliens. Now, presidents after Eisenhower don't know how much interaction they actually had with, and I think, who was the father Bush? George Sr.? I'm getting the Bushes mixed up. I know because he was the head of the CIA, he knew a lot about aliens. Now, how much his son knew, I don't know. Don't know what George Jr. knew. But as far as each president, how much they know, I think Bill Clinton has said that there was a lot he wanted to know that they wouldn't tell him, but for me, it's a no-brainer. For somebody on this planet to think there's no aliens, I would be like, really? Are you that myopic to think that there are billions, if not trillions, of planets, but only this planet has intelligent, what we call, because humanity hasn't been acting very intelligent. We call humanity intelligent life. Up to this point, I don't know how intelligent it's life, but intelligent life, I don't know. But of course, there's aliens. The aliens most of them are benevolent. They're watching us right now. What's happening on our planet right now is the greatest show in the universe. They're all watching us to see what we're going to do. And they're sending up their love energy, their vibration, to raise our vibration so we can make it to that heaven on earth, that fifth dimension. So again, I don't watch the news or listen to the news, so I didn't hear about the gentleman you just said that Donald Trump had information and held it. I didn't hear anything about that story. I don't really watch news, but when it comes to aliens, I know that there's aliens, and to me, it's a no-brainer. For anybody on the planet to think there's not aliens and to think that the government is not aware that there are aliens, where you been? That's all I have to say. What was the other thing you had mentioned too? Because you were talking about aliens and something else.
Yeah, humanity being able to handle the truth and being couch potatoes if everything was provided for us.
Okay, so well, the part of I think I answered the question about humanity being able to handle the truth. Again, to me, if you think there's no aliens, I don't know what to say to you, because you think that all these planets have nothing going on but us. So to me, that's just extremely myopic and narrow-minded to think there's no aliens. So that answers that question. And about the couch potato thing, no. Here's the thing. Here's what 5D is going to be like. 5D is no money, and your needs will be provided for. Just like there's no other species on this planet that have to work for a living. Do the birds have to work to pay a bill? Do the rabbits, do the deer, we're the only species on this planet that have to work to pay bills. That whole debt mentality, whole debt scenario thing is a prison of the cabal. We're supposed to do what we love to do. So it's not about being a couch potato. It's about doing what you came here to do. Do whatever you love to do. That's what you're supposed to be doing. And that's what we will be doing when we're in 5D. And here's the thing, it will be a love fest, because we will know, like breathing, we are one. It starts with unity consciousness. It starts with knowing that nothing is separate, that we are one with each other, we are one with the planet, we are one with the animals, we are one with everything. There is no separation. And we will know that, just like we know now for this body of ours to stay in this 3D matrix, we have to breathe. That's why they're trying to cut off our oxygen too. But anyway, just like we know we need oxygen for our body to stay here, we will know that we are one. We will be living in unity consciousness, not separation consciousness. And when you're living in unity consciousness, love is all there is. And we will all be doing exactly what we love to do. I doubt there will be any couch potatoes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So that being said, we've reached the 2-hour mark. So thank you very much for coming on. I got the chance to like your radio show Facebook page when I was right before the interview started. So you may see that on your notifications. So maybe I'll listen to it a little more often on YouTube now that I've got the channel and can subscribe to it. So best of luck to you. Thank you very much. And again, I will get this on YouTube in 2 to 3 weeks. Well, I'll get it on now, but it's not going to be free for everybody until 2 to 3 weeks from now. Hopefully someone will sign up to Patreon to be interested in listening to this and the other interviews in the very, very, very near future. Thank you again. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I love being a guest on other shows. I love this because you asked me questions that nobody else ever asked me. So I love doing this. Thank you so much. I'm so honored.
I do ask hard questions, yes.
Yes, I love it.
Take care now.